Many thanks for staying with us. And on this Friday, we have a lot to get into, the state of the nation, but not politics. We're going to move away from that completely and look at where we as a country in regards to gender-based violence. This week, we have had reports of what could be pretty much termed as gender-based violence. Very sad, loss of life at a time like this. But also we know there's a new program by the police called Polycare and various other stakeholders, and we want to learn a bit about that on this discussion as well. Remember, you can weigh in what are your personal experiences in regards to GBV, what more can be done to combat and end GBV. Let us know. 22422 is the SMS line, and the hashtag is Daybreak. Let me introduce my guests. I'll start with my left here. We have Zilpa Ayo, who's a businesswoman and also a GBV survivor. Thanks for joining us today on the program. Thank you. And next to her is Mr. Joshua Nyolo, who's a program officer, LVCT. Asante sana. And karibu. And on my right, we have Zipporah Nderito, Superintendent of Police. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Together with a familiar face here, Ken Munywa. He's a psychologist. Also, asante and karibu sana. Asante. And Zilpa, I'll start with you. A hard question, and feel free to answer it in a way that's comfortable for you as possible. As a GBV survivor, what can you tell Kenyans this morning about what exactly you went through? You don't have to go into all the details, but just help us really understand the challenge of GBV from your story.
First, I'd start by saying GBV is real. And it's funny that in the 21st century, we still have a lot, especially girls, undergoing GBV. And most of it is psychological. So most of the perpetrators may shift from the physical abuse to the psychological abuse. Mm-hmm. You see, the moment I come insult you, you are affected internally. Maybe unaweza niona, you think I'm fine, but deep inside I'm not fine. So most of what I went through was the psychological abuse. I cleared school in good shape and met this Jama. So we had this relationship thing and this come we stay ghetto things. Yeah, so I'm from Kibra, basically. So when you're told Kibra, something comes to your mind. So we pushed, and at some point I got pregnant. But during this pregnancy, instead of being supportive, he ended up being something else, a color I'd never seen in him. So he'd tell me, "Hakuna mahali unaweza enda since I'm stuck with you." Because I'm from a poor background, by the way. So alikuwa na feel, it's him, ni yeye tu naweza ambia kitu yoyote. Na I'm the kind of person, ni ngumu niambie msee napitia nini. So whenever I used to meet with friends, I'd crack jokes, we'd laugh, na tena nikirudi back to my problems.
Watu wana assume kila kitu iko
sawa. Yeah, things are okay. And that's what a lot of people by there assume. When I look at you, I think you're okay, but I don't know there's something bothering you inside. So this is where Mr. Michael Gitere of Plan International has been very helpful to me. Since he took me through the GBV topics, at least I got to learn that kitu kama hii, so the thing that's happening to me, it's GBV. He used to abuse me. At times, alianza kuja home akiwa drunk, and all he do is beat. And you see, when you're pregnant, so my pressure used to hike, until at some point, I was almost referred to the CS. So
And I'll hear a bit more about this. Are you away now? Did you step away from that relationship?
A long time ago.
A long time ago?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come back to you because I want to know how. Because a lot of questions that come in is, how do I walk away from a relationship like that? Especially when you say you're depending on someone. Maybe you don't have anything, resources, home, etc. Joshua, let me hear your experience. You have both worked quite a lot. You get a lot of these cases. You hear a lot about them as well. Talk to us about the place of men. On one hand, I saw some statistics there about 1 in 5 men have been victims of GBV. But also, on the other hand, men are required to be allies and support women in the fight against GBV. Talk to us a bit about that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Maura. The truth of the matter is that violence is affecting both men and women. And you realize that in our society, men, because of the way the society norms, our community norms, which of course are written laws, and are not written laws, they are just laws that communities have come up with, and they have just decided to put men at a higher level than women. So for that reason, when men are violated, they never talk about it. I am also a survivor. I have gone through violence. as a man from the year 2018 to around 2019. And I've been able to overcome that. So the truth of the matter is that men don't discuss it. And the main reason is because men have been placed by the society to feel that they are men, they should not cry. They are men, they should not talk their problems. They are men, they should not say that they are being violated. It is a shame for men to be violated, and so on. So those are some of the main reasons. And even when you look at most of the studies, you find men do not participate. They don't want to discuss about it. Even when we call for meetings, even to discuss issues of violence against women and even men, they don't want to come out and talk about it. So that is the main reason why men are really affected, and they don't talk about it.
Wow, and then I'll interrogate a bit more about that. Thank you for also taking us down that path. But let me introduce Superintendent of Police, Zipporah Nderito, who this week, a program that she's very passionate about, received national attention. Of course, we've known a bit about Polycare over the last couple of months, but it seems to have gotten a great go-ahead this week now. Talk to us about someone watching today wants to know, what is Polycare? Let's start there.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
It's a beautiful morning, and I would start by appreciating the Republic of Kenya and the leadership of the National Police Service for embracing Polycare. So what is Polycare? Polycare is a National Police Service integrated response to matters SGBV. For a very long time, our victims, who now later become survivors, undergo a long process when seeking justice. The process is long, it's tedious, and there are so many different service providers, there's so many different actors along the way, and that disintegration causes a lot of traumatic experience, physical, spiritually, mentally, and makes the victim feels like it's too much, or I have to do so much to seek for this justice. So instead of having so many actors who are in different places, we conceptualized an idea, why then don't we, if the pain and the disintegration from this process is making reporting difficult, then why don't we come up with a one-stop center where we can put all these service providers and reduce the victimization that comes along by repeating the story over and over again.
Okay.
Yes.
Help us understand specifics, because I know Polycare is still being rolled out. Which counties is it available? What is it exactly?
Okay, for now, Polycare is a program.
It's a program.
We just stepped out of the boardroom. So many thousands of meetings, consultation, trying to come up with a policy to guide us, a strategy and standard operating procedure. It still got some way along the way to get to the Attorney General, and then it's discussed, possibly get deposited in Parliament, and then we can have it rolled out. So there are processes that are concurrently taking place, but Polycare just stepped out of its papers, stepped out of the books, but we have a model that we are showcasing here at Nairobi area along Gong Road. Just we actually your neighbors. So we've renovated through the assistance of the Office of Inspector General and his deputy. We've renovated a small odd structure, trying to showcase that we can have the doctor here, we can have a nurse here, because we are dealing with forensic evidence. We can have psychosocial services here. We can have a magistrate in the house. We can have trauma-informed investigators.
Okay.
This doesn't just call for a police officer, though we are trained, but one with extra skills who knows the questions that I need to ask. But it's not the questions that I need to ask, but how do I ask these questions without shifting the blame to the victim, or without humiliating the victim, or without demeaning the victim, at the same time get the same objectives. Like for example, issues of where were you at that particular time when this happened? How were you dressed? we want to demystify that, we want to change that. And that is why we're calling it alternative policing, people-centered policing, victim-centered policing.
My goodness, I'll want to know more about the center, but let me also allow Ken Munywa to weigh in on this as a psychologist. Ken, help us understand the thinking, one, the trauma that the victim goes through, but also the mind of an abuser as well. Let's start there.
Maura, maybe before I do that, allow me to congratulate Madam Zipporah.
Okay.
Rarely do we get to hear when the government is doing such an awesome job. And it's a win for mental health, because now when we are talking about SGBV, we are talking about the mindset and everything that goes on, the effect on mental health. Now, what is the mind of somebody who goes ahead to commit SGBV? We can call them a sociopath or a psychopath. This is a person who has sat down and conceptualized an idea, and they want to go and do something as a result of something that happened to them. They have what we call recurring trauma. They have been hurt, and all they are looking at is hurting another person. Now, the problem is the victim is very innocent. I like the way she was putting it, is she found herself in a situation she thought it's about love. Because many a times, a psychopath first shows you love. They want to bring you on board as if they care so much about you. But at the end of the day, the ulterior motives that they have, they cannot communicate to you. And so what happens is along the way, you start seeing red flags. And I like reminding people, please don't see red flags and assume them from the word go. They will become escalated at the end of the day, and you will say, I saw this, but I assumed it. Now, what happens to this person who has been the victim and later a survivor? Nobody anticipates that something bad can happen in their life. We all yearn for good things. We all yearn for a good life. When you are getting into relationships, we all yearn to be loved, because love is the basic human need besides the others that we were taught in school, the food and the shelter and everything. And so when somebody now turns and becomes aggressive, this person is already telling you that what I wanted with you is not what you're getting. And so you end up being hurt. In as much as people become survivors, and we have Nyolo here and the lady, they can tell us that even sometimes some triggers come, and even if you have healed, you have not completely healed, because when that trigger comes, it becomes something that will always keep you awake in your life. The way Madam here, Zipporah, is talking about how police were handling it, I hope it goes to the new direction that you're describing. And please don't just employ policemen and train them to be mental health experts. Bring mental health experts now. We have so many. I sit at the National Board of Kenya Psychological Association. I can tell you we have very many qualified people whom you can be able to bring on board as civilians. They can be able to handle it very well. So when you are handling it, ensure that you are handling this person with a lot of tender care, because they are hurt, they are vulnerable, and you know it can recur. Funny thing is, somebody who has gone through it once can find themselves going through it again without their knowledge, because now they become very vulnerable, and anyone who assumes to love them or acts as if they are loving them, they find themselves like, I was hurt, now I can try love. And it becomes recurring.
My goodness. Okay. Let me come back to Zilpa Ayo, who shared her experience. But before that, I've seen a viewer has sent a message. You say you're 46 years old, you're undergoing GBV. How can you be helped? I don't know if you're able to tell us which county you are in, and maybe Zipporah can then guide you appropriately as to where you can go to get help. Please, whoever has texted us saying you're 46 years old and undergoing GBV, how can you be helped? Please give us a few more details of where you are, and we will see what sort of support you can receive. Zilpa, now that you've had time to look back, you've had training and support on what GBV is and so forth, were there any red flags that you may have observed as you were living with this person and interacting with them that maybe could have given you an indication of what the future would be like, but you were not able to see? It might help a viewer this morning watching who might be in a similar situation like you are in.
The greatest red flag was the abuse, the insults. So when you're raised in a home whereby love is the only thing you're shown, and then someone else comes and starts abusing you, you find it uncomfortable to stay there. Yeah, and it shifts from the insults now to the physical abuse. And that's how some of the survivors end up being killed, because they feel this is the place I can confide in. And the more they stay there, the more they are violated. And the funny thing about GBV, you find it so hard to tell people. Juu, sasa imagine I'm with my friends, alafu nawaambia, unajua jana nilipigwa. And the society of today, sasa aje. Like you even feel like, your story tu ni yangu tu mimi najua. Uwezi hata ambia mse. Even I found myself in a situation where my closest friend, she'd notice at times I was not okay, but I tell her, ni kichwa tu inaniuma, nitakuwa tu sawa. You try doing everything, kufunikia, to assume like things are okay. But insults sana sana, they lead to worse.
Did the insults start very early in the relationship, or zilikuja baadaye?
Zilikuja baadaye.
But mwanzo everything was good.
Very smooth.
How do you decide to walk away? When do you decide? Hauna pesa? Maybe you are sharing the home. How do you make the decision that leo natoka?
It's a very tough decision to make, but you also need to look at all angles of life. You are the one at the center. Nikiendelea kukaa hapa, what are the likely things to happen? Nikitoka, how can I manage myself? Because for my case, I was moving out with a baby, mwenye sijui nani angemsupport, but since nilikuwa nimeamua kutoka, it was kutoka and no looking back. Yeah.
And that's what you did?
Yeah.
My goodness. Joshua, even as you continue to speak about the perspective of men, I want to play the devil's advocate here. There are sayings men and boys are told from the time they are young: act like a man, men don't cry, vumilia, you know. So when does a man know that he is experiencing GBV? What are the signs for a man? Just like I asked her as well, what are those red flags that a man should say, hii hapa sasa si kuvumilia, something is going on that actually falls within the category of GBV?
All right. Now, you realize that for men, it's not really pronounced like women, because most of them is the issue of power balance. So most of men who are violated in their relationship, you find maybe their partners, maybe they're earning more money than them, or they are stronger than them. I don't know, in aspects of, let's say even body-wise, maybe they wanaweza kukuangushika akakuangusha, because violence is linked to power imbalance. So if you find that maybe the woman is earning more than you, or maybe she's stronger than you, you are likely to go through violence. Now, for my case, it was very interesting, and the issue that I would talk of power, it was about money. You realize that I lost my wife in 2018, and when she passed on, immediately, because where she was, the family, my in-laws, they have more money than myself, so they told me, you cannot stay with these children. We want to take these children and to Wale and so on. And then, of course, I knew very well that this was the beginning of the separation, separating me from my children. So that is when I tried to resist a bit. It was not easy, because at one point they stormed at my home, and when I saw them coming, I picked the little child. That child, I have two children, so the baby was 3 years. So we rushed to the vehicle, and they didn't see us, so they went straight to the house. They found the young man, and they stayed for a while. They tried to call me, I couldn't pick the calls, and then they disappeared with the child. And from that time even up to today, we have never reunited. And even when I reported to the children department, and we sat down, I even went to court, and I was given a court order to let them bring back the son. They couldn't do that, and they told me, Joshua, right now, because that time I had left employment at LVCT Health, and I had gone to look for a seat, member of county assembly. So I had come out, and I've left employment. I'm not working. I've finished all the money in politics, and I'm now not able to sustain myself very well. But I knew that if I let these children go, there is a likelihood that it may take a very long time for me to reunite with them and to build that bond with them and to give them that fatherly love, which they sincerely needed at that time, and even to comfort one another, because we really were grieving the loss of their mother and my wife, and we needed them. But they told me, we have money. We want to take care of these children. So when we talk of issues of power, power is the root cause of violence against women and men. And in any relationship where there is no balance of power, then that's when violence comes in. And that is how violence was able to come in, I was able to go through that particular violence. And it has taken long.
So yours was not, it was not an individual, it was sort of more like a family dispute.
It was more like a family dispute.
I see, that's well noted.
Yes.
And that's an interesting angle that you bring in. Zipporah, let me also allow you to weigh in on this. Polycare is being rolled out. There are still more steps to be taken, but women and men are facing GBV today.
Yes.
What do they do today? This 46-year-old, what can she do in the meantime as we await this program to reach her county?
As we wait for this program to reach our county, Polycare is not a new wheel. Already, there are police stations. We have very effective and efficient gender desks within her jurisdictions where she can report. So I would urge that the first thing is she has accepted, and this is where healing starts, by first of all admitting that this is happening to me. So what do I need to do? I need to make a report. Police service is one of the institutions that has the mandate to receive these allegations, and the process of justice starts once there is an allegation that something has happened to me. So I would urge you, my dear girl, make a report. If you don't wish to report it to the police station, you can call. We have a toll-free number, which we will share later, that's being managed by the Directorate of Gender, Community Policing, and Child Protection Unit. That number is a toll-free number. There are so many other toll-free numbers all over she can call, but I would urge that she starts from home. If she can make that report, and then a follow-up will be.
That would be the best way to go about
Other
it.
people feel they don't want to report to police, but they also report to a doctor because they first of all need, maybe they have undergone sexual assault and they need medical attention. We also have community-based organizations who can help her pull through the road. But again, this is a shame of crime. To how many people do you want to tell your story? And this is what keeps them away from reporting. But the reporting, again, does not mean that these crimes are not happening. And so Polycare comes in as a game changer. Polycare comes in as an innovative way of bringing ourselves back to the people. I've said the National Police Service, the government has a lot of resources. And if you look at the criminal justice system, there are so many resources that have been set, but chasing after the perpetrator, keeping that bad person away from you. But Polycare is taking an outbound turn to go back and work with the victim. And this is the priceless dignity, which is our slogan that we want to give. So we hope that what Her Excellency committed to do for Polycare, and what the head of state has committed to do, and what every other supporter of this innovation is the goodwill. We are riding on the goodwill. So how fast can we get to the society? How fast can we get to the village? How fast can Polycare get to Mashinani? It is all on goodwill and somebody who is suffering. We don't want to have more femicide. Women are committing suicide when they are unable to navigate. And that's why Polycare is talking about a victim-based approach. Because when they come to report to us, they come to us as victims. When we attend to them in a dignified way, we give them the resilience to make them survivors. And that's why you find that UN and international bodies will refer to them as survivors, which is more humane. But when dealing with the process at Polycare, they are victims of crime. So what do we want to do? We want to give them the energy. We want to give them the hope. We want to give them the dignity so that when they're exiting Porikia, within the shortest time possible, they get to the community back as survivors. And that's why you can see she has all the confidence, because this is a crime of shame. It demeans you, it breaks you, it kills you. It removes all your self-esteem. You cannot face your world. You can, if you're a church person, you can't even sing in the choir anymore because it makes you feel dirty. It's not robbery with violence where you can replace whatever has been stolen. It is your dignity that goes down with it. And so many people who are unable to navigate during the period of victimization, they look for an alternative way to an alternative identity in the society. So what do? They turn into drugs. Our psychologist here, a counselor, is telling us they can also become a second victim. Why? They are chasing some infinite hope that is evading. They cannot get it, and they want to belong. Others will go into drugs. Others will go, they even become promiscuous. After all, what am I? There is no value in me. So they just give in to whatever it can be. And those who are not able to navigate and become survivors, and I commend all the survivors. We have Survivors Network being run by Wango Kanja and Planning International Crew. There's so many organizations who are partnering with us. Reinvent, Rotary Club of Nairobi Parklands, and all Friends of Porikia. They are telling the victim, don't do it. Don't kill yourself. Don't commit suicide. Men, you're getting abused. It's not, and man, with Africa as a patriarchal society, the socialization, the nature in which we were brought about, they will not say this happened to me. But thumbs up to all men who are coming up strong.
Ken, speaking of that, you may not have the data necessarily, but I'm sure there are people who come to you and talk about their experiences. For a lot of them, what were the factors that triggered this GBV? And we're not saying that anything justifies GBV, but clearly something happened before the act, whether it's verbal or physical, that sort of thing. What are some of these conflicts that are being experienced in homes and so forth? Like
Joshua said there, the issue of power is a very big issue. And power is managed by how you look at it. Your wife earning more than you, I don't know how that demeans a man. I've always said, as you have said, Wahiga, in this program, that my wife is in a permanent job as opposed to me, who is, I wanted to say hustler, only that terminology now is being misused out there. But I go to hustle as opposed to her, who go to an office on a daily basis. And Joshua, what people need to know just on the side is, coming from a broke family is not your problem. But getting married into a broke family is entirely your problem because you didn't do your research well. So you have done your research well, that you cannot be broke and get married into a broke family. Only that they have misused that power. Look at it this way. Somebody who starts to throw words towards you, to demean you, to hurt you, they are graduating slowly. They start from verbal, and they will go physical, and they can go even berserk now. They start hitting you with everything that starts. Rarely do we find men talking in the open. I commend you, Joshua, for that. And I can tell you, you have really instilled hope in men today, this morning. But when they come into the therapy room, you realize that most men are emotionally abused, which is part of GBV. You know, GBV is taking advantage of somebody because of the agenda. She's bringing in an aspect of the sexual aspect, but there's an emotional aspect, and there are so many men who tell you that they go through emotional abuse, that their wives can throw any words. Take for instance, it doesn't happen to me, but take for instance, wanakuonanga kwa TV wanafikiria we ni mtu wa maana.
Oh my. Oh.
You take it as if it is just a word that is just being thrown. But believe you me, men introspect, and what people need to know is that men are more emotional than women. Only that women are more vocal. They let the emotions out. The men sulk with their own because of what you are defining from the earlier stages of the show, that we are told, men, you have to act act it up. But when they come into the therapy room and you allow that space where they can be vulnerable, they tell you all manners of what they have been going through, and they open up their hearts and they say, this is not what I yearned for. Many pastors take this as a joke when they ask in churches, if you are given a chance to get married to the same person, would you? And you hear men say, Mama, uko chini siwezi. It's not a joke. It's not a joke as per se. Because many men, what they are going through is they were looking for solace. They were looking for a home where they can go and get comfortable, but they are getting into a home where they are so uncomfortable. When I train people, I tell them, when you see a man staying late, maybe in a bar, they are staying late because of only 2 reasons. Either they are married or they are not. It's for you to deduce what they are. Maybe they are avoiding the home because there is somebody, or they are avoiding the home because there is nobody. So at the end of the day, men are hiding. And when you find them in bars and they are talking because of alcohol, which is a depressant, they start opening up their heart. Saa tatu ndio wanaume ufungua roho. Shida sasa ni curfew. Because they have to get home mapema na hawana mtu wa kufungulia roho mapema.
Those are interesting perspectives that you bring in. And Zilpa, even as we continue to weigh in on this, what do you now understand about this whole issue around GBV that you did not understand when you're in it? Having looked back, what have you learned that enables you to be able to encourage other women out there that there is hope, that there's more that you're able to do? What insights can you give us?
I think speaking out is key, and this is to the society. Social norms really affect us. Kila mahali. There is a way mnaweza kuwa mnaenda rorasho and then you put on a katros and then your mom tells you, watu watakuona aje? You see, that's what society has molded us to be. So be comfortable. The moment nimesonga hivi and I'm okay with it, it's all about me. Let's not your view about me affect me, and learn to be open. Speak out. The moment you speak out, you start healing slowly. Because bado ukiwa na ile acha nijieke, you even hurt more. I was almost at the suicidal point, by the way. And the moment I decided to speak out, niliona ni kama nimetoa burden kubwa sana. Yeah. So it's all about speaking out.
I have another question for you, but before that, I'm told we have some tweets and some SMSs that I want to pick up at this time. This is what some of you are saying this morning. Sir Nixon Dugira from Kinaruma, you say, it's a sad thing and very unfortunate that police harass and sometimes chase men away when they go to report GBV. Okay. A viewer here, you haven't written your name, but you said, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I lost my job and wife, plus things I had in my house. Now I'm back at my mom's house and my younger sister doesn't respect me at all. Okay. Cool. Question of respect. No name, but you say, I honestly have never seen a police officer as eloquent and competent as Madam Zipporah. It's sincerely impressive. May God bless her. Indeed, on the contrary, I believe that the police service are the people who aid GBV. I can explain. My wife employed an underaged Ugandan house help when I complained in Nakuru West Police. No action taken. Okay, we'll give Madam Zipporah a chance to respond to viewers who need support from the police. Viewer from Nairobi, okay, we understand why you may not want to give your names, but please do where you can and your location. Hello, I'm 26 years old, 1 kid. I'm going through all those things you're talking about. Can I get help? I am losing it. All right, I think these are still SMSs, right? Beatrice says, I need help. I've experienced violence. Kindly help me for baby daddy to give me support. Okay, so Beatrice, I think we need to understand, is it a support issue or is it a GBV issue? Okay, thank you. So Beatrice, if you text, we'll look at that. Jacob Abere, you say, congratulations, Zippy, for coming up with that noble program on GBV. I've seen cases in informal settlements, young men and women fixed to corner, body harm, underage marriage, rape and killings. Move quickly and establish the program in the grassroots. That's Jacob Abere. Engineer Lazaro, you say teaching against GBV should start right from home, school, and church. In fact, gender-based violence should be a subject in our new curriculum. Okay. I have lots of questions, even off your feedback from my guests, but I'm told we need to take a short break. Let's take that short break. When we come back, we continue to engage in this topic. GBV, so many aspects of it. It's not just violence. It could be verbal. It could be so much more that we are learning on the program this morning. But whatever it is, it needs to end. And we hope that those of you watching, especially those who need this support, will be able to send your questions to my guests. 22422 is the SMS line. #Daybreak. Let's come back with that topic and some more of it after the break.